Brendan Sorsby was denied the ability to enter the NFL supplemental draft and go back to play college football. But what if he did enter the supplemental draft? What kind of quarterback prospect is he? Well, he's a very enticing quarterback prospect because he has the arm talent of Mahomes and Allen, but the run threat of Lamar and Jaden Daniels, almost like he's Michael Vick 2.0. However, with those elite traits, there's a couple of major questions in his game that'll make you hesitate taking him. So today we'll be going into the big questions in his game and look at the overwhelming evidence that he is possibly the next Allen or Michael Vick. Brendan Sorsby's data points to him being an elite level prospect. By looking at his Pro Football Focus grades, we see that he was the 8th highest graded passer, but more importantly, had a 6.4% big time throw rate and a very low 1.8% turnover worthy play rate. This is rare to see with a quarterback and even in a vertical heavy offense. Plus, Brendan Sorsby is simply choosing to throw explosive throws more often. The offense isn't just this air raid system where you just chuck it up always. It usually had a deep shot, but also had the first down throw mixed in, making it more of like a Bruce Arians mentality where you have the vertical and the throw trying to get the first down. But usually with quarterbacks, you see a higher turnover worthy play rate along with more attempts downfield. And as we saw with the data, Sorsby was at an elite level in terms of not making critical errors. This must mean that something's wrong with Sorsby because those numbers will scream high-end first-round talent. People aren't necessarily saying that. So let's continue to investigate. Pressure to sack percent is another important marker in QB analysis, which as the name goes, it's how many sacks you take when you are pressured. This is what gets guys with such elite numbers with big time throw rate and turnover worthy play rate, as they take more sacks by taking longer to throw to avoid making mistakes or make more big time throws. But with Brendan Sorsby, he's elite in this regard with a 6.1% pressure to sack rate. This is elite. It's one of the best actually, far better than other quarterbacks similar to Brendan Sorsby. Like Caleb Williams' best year in college was 16%, Jaden Daniels was 20.2%, Mahomes was 10.2%, and Lamar was 17.6%. What about his time to throw then? Well, it's actually really good given his playing style. Naturally, these QB archetypes take longer to throw because they're extending the play more often, and Sorsby is in a really good range. He had a 2.82 time to throw. By this data, it would seem that Brendan Sorsby is this generational prospect, but clearly no one is saying that, not even me. Well, when we finally reach another major part of a quarterback's game, that is accuracy, we see that this is the most problematic part of Brendan Sorsby's game, having a 71 adjusted completion rate. So he's very inaccurate, just like the other Josh Allen Mahomes prototypes. Easy, right? Yes and no. So let's investigate. So looking into this, we see he's pretty accurate in the short range of the field at 85.3%. So that's not the problem, and it signals a good sign, in fact, because usually with these quarterbacks, they'll suffer in the short game. Now moving to the intermediate level, we'll see that he's in the lower part of the middle of the pack. That doesn't mean he's inaccurate at the middle of the field, as the intermediate range includes any part of the field from 10 to 19 yards, that whole section. And we see by looking further at the center, which is the middle of the field part, that he is very accurate and he had an elite passing grade. So if that's the case, then why was his adjusted completion rate so low? Well, it's because he was diabolically inaccurate on deep balls and outside the number throws, along with the intermediate and outside the number range as well. This is the major problem in Brendan Sorsby's game. You see, this actually was the major problem in Josh Allen and Lamar's game as well. It is important to note, however, that he was pretty good at the deep middle. That area wasn't the problem. Some might conclude that he just lacks the arm strength to hit the sideline throws, and that's actually what Pro Football Focus said in an article. That's not the problem whatsoever, and you see that by looking at the film. It's going to be third down, and Arizona's running cover 4 pre-snap, moving to what I think is cover 1 man. It's a odd coverage nonetheless to apply defenders to man responsibilities given their location. This will be a wreck of a coverage, and it opens up a big time throw opportunity. Sorsby sees this unfolding and moves to throw. However, you'll see a delayed blitzer zooming in unblocked. So Sorsby will have someone in his face as he's throwing the ball. And meanwhile, the wide receiver has open grass ahead of him, and all Brendan Sorsby has to do is drop it out in front. And he doesn't, with it being underthrown and the center safety intercepting the ball. It's not that Sorsby doesn't have the arm strength or arm talent to hit this, he's simply bad at gauging these throws. And you'll see that as we go through the film. Here as well, Baylor's running cover 3. Sorsby looks to the right, then to the safety at the middle. This is smart quarterbacking as it moves the safety away and isolates the mini Megatron on the outside man to man. man. Sorsby again will have pressure coming quickly, this time on the right side though. Now if you pause here, you'll see that the wide receivers gain more and more separation as he goes, but the safety is flying over too. So the throw needs to be placed at the sideline, back shoulder, or out in front, thrown as a fastball. The ball comes in underthrown, and the wide receiver has to turn back around awkwardly. It should have been placed further out in front. It's a little nitpicky, I'll admit that, but the margin for error is small in the NFL. The wide receiver, who I'm personally a fan of, should have caught this. It was there, I'll admit that too. And Utah is one of the worst games I saw of him missing deep balls. Utah will be presenting cover 3, but the safety shifts far over, indicating this is not a one high look. With the snap, it moves to a cover 2 variation, and the safety, for whatever reason, bails out and goes over there for literally no reason. This is important as Sorsby sees the safety leaving, making this one-on-one opportunity not only safe, but it frees up for a possible runaway touchdown. All Sorsby has to do is place his ball out in front, dropping it in a bucket. And once again, Sorsby will be having pressure coming towards him, but this time he does have more time than the previous plays. With the wide receiver breaking open, Sorsby rips through this cleanly and throws the ball out of bounds. It's a really bad miss. Now Utah will be running cover 2 man-to-man pre-snap. It also will be third down. The defenders pre-snap will be acting as if they will blitz, and they do commit. With them doing that, kind of converts to cover 0. Sorsby will recognize this and look to the right. He sees an isolated opportunity on the right and throws there. This is a fine decision given the overload blitz and shows quick decision making. Problem is, he overshoots it by a lot, and the wide receiver has no shot of getting the ball. Brendan also does not choose the right club in the bag for this throw. It has to be placed back shoulder or on the top right diagonal, which is here. This he clearly doesn't do. This is very concerning for Brendan Sorsby, as most quarterbacks of his style don't fix this accuracy problem. Lamar and Allen are the exception in this regard, and the likelihood he overcomes this or fixes this is small. I don't necessarily think it's a mechanical problem, though there are some fanatics, respectfully, who will disagree with that. To me, he just doesn't gauge the outside the number throws that well, and given he isn't playing football in college this year, I'm not sure how he'll improve on that with him not being able to play. Now, this is only one side of the coin, because when he hits, but because people don't watch the entire video, I want to go through that part of his game later and move to the confusing and potentially troubling part of Brendan Sorsby's game, and that's processing. Sorsby is so confusing because he'll make terrible decisions with the ball, but he at the same time doesn't make a lot of critical errors. It just ends really badly when he does. On the very first play of the drive, at the very beginning of the game, Arizona is showing cover 3 pre-snap. Sorsby fakes the handoff and looks to this receiver running this in and out route from the slot. He's at first looking to the middle and then to the right. By the time he sees this properly, it's too late. These whole shots required to be thrown early or usually have touched to properly fit over the top with an arch over the underneath defender. It can be a fastball, but there needs to be more separation. And Sorsby throws this anyways, with the linebacker making a great play at the ball, and it's tipped up and is intercepted. Even if the linebacker wasn't there, this corner would have jumped it anyway. The throw has requirements to throw, and if it's not there, you can't throw it. It's a terrible way to start the game. Against Iowa State, we'll see another completely bizarre decision. Iowa State is running this odd coverage. For context of this game, Sorsby will struggle with processing the odd coverage at first, but settle in halfway though, besides this particular play. Sorsby will look to the middle, then to the left, and the wide receiver is well covered, so he looks back to the middle, and this guy appears to be open at first, but he really isn't. This is because the defender is in position to snipe the ball because these linebackers are chilling right here. This makes it a no-go, but Sorsby, for whatever reason, decides to launch it straight through anyways, and it kind of looks like it might get through to the wide receiver before it goes right through the defender's hands. It's just a what are we doing moment. He also missed where he should have gone with the ball as well, which is, ironically, the deep ball. The moment this defensive back comes down for the dig, it creates a one-on-one opportunity here, and on the contrary, it happens before he moves to throw. So he should have thrown here, even though yes, it is third down. That was really the only place to go with the ball besides the running back. This is pretty much in terms of poor processing that resulted in catastrophic errors. While he did make more critical errors, these two were the worst, and the rest were more of like turnover-worthy plays that were underthrowing a deep ball or just not placing it right. It's still not good, but it is different from making a bad decision with the ball over the middle or misreading a defense. Those are different things. And again, we are evaluating him for what his QB archetype is and what you usually see from quarterbacks like him. He should not be placed in an offense where it's built for end structure or relying on elite accuracy and anticipation mostly. Like, he isn't that guy. He's not a Brock Purdy. He's not a Manning, Breeze, Brady, those style quarterbacks, or Kirk Cousins for that matter. He should be placed in an offense that's going to play to his strengths, which obvious and dumb, but poor run NFL organizations don't do that. And even some good ones still try to force guys into an offense that is not a good fit. But for having the style of play, he will show great processing and decision making, passing up the aggressive shots downfield and hitting the third down plays and not taking off prematurely. It's as if he's switching between modes. He could be hyper aggressive, but then completely change the mood and take the smaller chunk plays and keep that drive alive. Unlike Arch Manning, who goes complete Alex Smith, Sorsby will play like a Joe Burrow or Prime Rodgers. Like, he knows what to do. He's not just blindly throwing balls up. And the film, obviously, is the best way to show this. It's a critical situation with it being third down. Iowa State is showing cover 0, usually on cover 0 with the man-to-man opportunities being one-on-one, and the corners are waiting to anticipate if their receivers going deep or they're going to stay right near to third down. This provides big-time throw opportunities, and Sorsby not only has proven that he does big play hunts, but he will pass up chunk plays for the big shot. And here we see the opposite. Sorsby gets a snap, looks left, and sees his wide receiver running the out route wide open, and he immediately throws it. There is no, well, what if there's something better downfield, which is what you see from this style of player. Sorsby here, and the many other plays he does, shows he can operate like an elite QB, no problem. Here we're going to see him be smart and process well. Baylor's running cover 2 man. Sorsby will get the snap, fake the handoff, and fake the screen, and see what he has to work with. The deep ball's not open, but it is still possible, and naturally you would expect him to go hurl it downfield, but he doesn't. Instead, he moves right a little, shifts some defenders, and throws to the middle. It's definitely open, but that's not what matters here. We're looking at him showing restraint. That's what's important, which gives me hope that he cannot just be another big arm, flashy QB and not work out in the NFL. This time will be a different coverage by Iowa State. Iowa State is showing 3-2-6 defense. He looks to the middle, sees these middle defenders are going to prevent any layer throw over the middle, and then he looks right, sees the comeback open, fires it with having pressure on its way, and takes the hit. And if the wide receiver didn't slip, it's a first down. Another example of good processing is this. Iowa State is showing a version of cover 4, likely cover 4 invert. Sorsby gets the snap, fakes a handoff to the running back and the wide receiver. He looks to the middle and sees the wide receiver going open over the middle, but this is a trap. As a linebacker, though he seems far away, he is in position to snipe the ball. Sorsby sees this and likes not to try to fit this risky tight window throw in, and he checks it down to the running back. It's another play showing he has the self-control and recognizing the trap. Based on his archetype, you expect him to fail to see this or struggle with making the right decisions, and he really doesn't. A disclaimer though is he didn't necessarily go through full field reads, which a lot of these plays are designed to be 1, 2, or 3 reads all on one side of the field and maybe the middle. This is a question in his game, and it's not to be regarded as a major knock to his game because the offense is not built on doing full field reads. That's not a Brendan Sorsby problem then. What's more, and this is the key part, is that when he was forced to read the whole field, he was fine. I wouldn't say there was anything remarkable, bad, or good. He was just solid. Now, I understand I talked up the processing and decision making being a potential major issue, and it's because when he did make the poor decisions, it was ugly, and the defenses he was facing were not like Texas or Georgia. They are still respectable defenses for what level they're at, but the difficulty level will ramp up in the NFL. That's the obvious. I will say it's much better at making good decisions than Josh Allen ever was in college at Wyoming, and with Allen, that was at an even lower level. Plus, Sorsby is just as aggressive as he was, so it's important to add that to the equation, but not enough to write him off. Utah in particular has always messed with these high-end prospects in the past, and Arizona has been a better defense in recent years. Now, I've been talking a lot about the negatives of his, and I did touch on the side of him processing very well like a great quarterback does, but then also making poor decisions. We haven't gotten to the special though, and the special is overwhelming. This is a third down situation. Sorsby gets the snap, looks to the middle, and knows exactly where he wants to go to the fade route. Now keep in mind, his receiver hasn't really broken free, and this makes this a anticipation throw, especially with it being a deep corner route. Now Sorsby will also be under duress. He gets it off, however, the wide receiver not tracking it the best, it hits his hands and he doesn't hold on to it. When you see these throws open, it's totally fine to go take them. It's also good stuff by Sorsby. He did his part. Going back to Utah, the next play will be cover 1 man-to-man. Sorsby once again fakes the handoff and sees another big time throw opportunity in the left. What he also sees is a linebacker sprinting towards him and throws a very casual touch pass and throws it just right so the wide receiver can run under it, and it's an explosive play. He makes these throws feel effortless even when he misses them. Similar story here. This time Arizona is presenting cover 0 pre-snap. It's also first down, not third down. Sorsby will fake the handoff and look downfield. He only has two options. This receiver is stretching the field horizontally or the post. Sorsby opts for the post, which is open. He gets plenty of time as well, though he does have some pressure coming in his face by the time he's actually throwing this. But he gets it out cleanly, dropping it perfectly to the wide receiver, not behind or ahead, and the wide receiver drops it when he goes to the ground. UCF will be running cover 0 here, also will be second down. Right away, Sorsby will have trouble as the defender blows right by the guard, and Sorsby has to do something right now. What he does is throw to Mini Megatron, and yes, it is wide open, but Sorsby has the guy right in his face, and he'll hop throw this, placing it really well by giving enough air and juice to get to his guy. It's incredibly impressive. Now Arizona's showing cover 7 pre-snap and it's fourth down. After hitting a good middle of the field throw on third down, the wide receiver dropped it and now it's fourth down in the fourth quarter, being down by 10 points. Sorsby will get the snap, looking to the middle and then to the right. He has one guy open and the window will close fast, but he gets it to him in time and keeps the drive alive. But it's more than the big time throws on the outside or over the middle. He does extremely well when he's outside the pocket or when on the run. Utah will be running cover 3. It's play action and very quickly Sorsby will have a free rusher chasing him down and forcing him outside, but then he'll run to another lineman breaking free. Sorsby slows down and throws a well-placed out route at the sideline. That's perfection. It doesn't end there. This time it's an intentional move outside a structure with the play design as he fakes a handoff and moves right. Nothing will be open and Sorsby motions the receiver to go deep, but he really is focused on getting this wide receiver open so he's not having the defender swooping down. And you see the defender move deep because of Sorsby doing that, and that's a high IQ move. With the wide receiver having some separation, Sorsby zips his throw high but ahead and it's caught, but the wide receiver doesn't get his feet in bounds in time. I'm still impressed with the play given it's on the run, it's accurate, and most of all, it's him intentionally moving the defender deep to give this botched play a chance. This is my favorite part of the video because it's a pretty rare thing to see quarterbacks who are a lethal threat in the run game not lean on it too much with scrambling. Brendan Sorsby prefers to operate in the pocket, and only when he needs to does he actually scramble or play outside a structure. And when he's used in the run game or decides to take off, it looks like this. Cincinnati will be in the red zone here. Sorsby will fake the handoff, take the ball for himself, cutting straight through a hole in the line, blazing past all the defenders. The sheer speed is rare and it's way better than the recent QB prospects in the past few years besides Jaden Daniels. It's near that level in my opinion though. And yes, it's Utah, but they're not that slow and the gap that he is putting on those guys is incredible. Same thing here against UCF, but not in the red zone. Sorsby acts like he's going to throw, but really it's a delayed run. He jukes out the defensive tackle, it's not that hard, and with another quick cut, he leaves the safety behind and dives for the first down. Not only did he cut like an elusive running back, but he also protected himself by diving, which some say that's actually better to do than slide. And unlike Jackson Dart or Jaden Daniels, who keep getting themselves hurt, ultimately Brendan Sorsby protects himself way better. Oh, and this was on third down too. But it's more than simply QB running plays. Here against Baylor, the coverage is looking to be cover 3. Sorsby will get the ball, fake it to the running back, and look to the middle, then to the right, and then takes off through the left, slipping by one defender, shedding another guy, and almost gets the first down. And here against Iowa State with it being fourth down. He'll fake the handoff and run towards the gap where the defender overplays the run, and Sorsby bounces outside again, blazing past all of them for the touchdown. That's just another example of his speed. This is a very underrated part of Brendan Sorsby's game. He looks like he can be in the upper tier of being a Lamar Jaden Daniels threat. He's not the level of athlete Lamar Jackson is. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he could be an elite threat like them. And that still sounds insane, and it feels to me insane, but I'm someone who's very critical when it comes to QBs who are athletic enough or have the high-end talent to be a dominant force in the run game, because it becomes, as I mentioned before, a crutch for younger quarterbacks, or it gets them hurt like Jackson Dart or Jaden Daniels. That's what you're seeing right now. Sorsby is different because he's unique in that he's not looking to run. He's a pocket preferred guy. He wants to sit in the pocket and go through reads and look for explosive plays. So he's not crutching on his running ability. He uses it as a last resort or for out of structure plays, which I feel is the best way to use it. As we potentially saw with Lamar last year, and I'm going to make a video on him for that, we saw how it affects a QB who does rely on that ability when they don't have it. And eventually with Lamar Jackson, he'll have to play in the pocket more and adapt his game when he loses the edge as a consistent run threat. I mean, as an elite run threat. For younger players, it inhibits their development as a quarterback from really reading defenses when their first two reads are not there. They lean into taking off rather than going to the third or fourth court read or moving outside the pocket to loosen the defense. I think Brendan Sorsby would have been a borderline first round talent if he was able to go into the supplemental draft. If he showed even the same stuff, not regressing at Texas Tech if he was allowed to play, then he easily would have been a top 5 pick next year in the draft. That's how special he is. I am concerned to him missing out on football this year, in particular him not being good at gauging deep balls. He has to find a way to practice that. What if he regresses or doesn't work hard now? If he's not holding himself accountable, then he will be in trouble. If I were him, I'd buy one of those VR headsets with the training programs and just go to town and practicing full field reads and studying offenses. Hiring athletes to just go run routes for him with the coverage at the safety or corner and play. I've not brought up the gambling thing, but it is a serious question mark because if he does gamble now, even though he's not on a college football team, it would make him look really bad for NFL teams because he'll never be able to do that in the NFL, but it is a temptation. I don't bring up personal stuff usually, but in terms of risk as a prospect, that's why I lean towards him being a high second round pick. Even though I think he's a clear first round talent very easily, like even though he's not that raw of a prospect, like he just needs to figure out the outside the number throws really. Plus him not playing football for a whole year and the unknowns of, again, if he's working really hard or not is something that I don't know. It's also only a 1 year sample size of him being elite. To me, if I had to pick a comp for him, it'd be Michael Vick more than Josh Allen. But what about another 1 year sample size in Ty Simpson? There's a lot of debate about Ty Simpson. Personally, I think he's great, but check out that video here or some of my other videos there.